just lost Jeremy. So I'm
I'm
sure
here.
he's coming back in here.
I'm
We'll
here.
see what's going on with him. We'll give him a couple seconds.
All right.
If you're tuning in, we'll see how
Okay.
I can figure out this hat. Talk about imagination here. I got some additions to my hat right here from a, about a 6-year-old, almost 7 now, Edon. And he is a master at imagination. So,
Am I here?
yes, you are back.
Cool. I was there the whole time. I don't know what
Sirens
happened.
full in effect and everything.
Yeah.
Great time.
Yeah. I'm here.
So, Jeremy, so great to see you. Great to see you, man. It's been a week, and I know I've had mind blowing. Like my life's just one more thing happening after another, and I couldn't be in a better spot. And I'm really excited to start sharing some of the stuff that's going on. And so frustrating when it's like confidential stuff, and I can't say anything yet. And I'm like,
All right.
big stuff, big stuff. And so I'm going to share as much as I can today, all created from solving problems with my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And even before we get into today's show, everybody that's here, thank you for being on. Please drop in your comments, drop in your thoughts, give us the likes, give us the loves, give us all that stuff. We are pouring our hearts out for you, and any interaction with you guys is always, always, always appreciated. We do this because, well, it's fun, and we get to share some of this stuff that brought opulence into our lives with others. And the more you interact, then you can actually change the path of the conversation, which is always great. So some of this may be reminders for you. Some of it may be new. Some of it may be like, no way, that doesn't work. And that voice may show up. And that's totally cool. Just drop us off a little note. What is going on in your mind as you listen to this? It's great to be able to hear what others are thinking while we're broadcasting this stuff. It's really, really helpful for us to be able to direct this and make this custom tailored. We get about 100 views on here usually, but live it's usually maybe 10 people max at a time. So we can actually make this broadcast for you because you're here, and we have a small enough audience. We can customize it. So Jeremy, before we even get into this, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about Imagination Technologies and what it is that you do.
I call it my soul's work. It's definitely going to sprout into business and evolve from there. But first and foremost, I like to consider it my soul's work. Um, it Before being a business, I look at it like a research and development standing on the shoulders of giants before me, most specifically Einstein. And with that work, I look at it like it's helping, it's offering my expertise and my own use of my mind as an experimental test ground to push the species forward and offer my work to other people in the synthesis of what I discovered. And someone asked me the other day, like, is it ancient wisdom? Is it ancient wisdom? And I was like, yes and no. Like, I look at what I'm doing as what yeah, definitely is using ancient wisdom and all of the things that have been taught for centuries and by shamans and all of the greats. But I'm putting, like everyone else, I'm putting my own spin on it, and it is iterating and making it better, I feel, and helping people see these ancient teachings from a new technological eye. The way they didn't have technology back then as we have it now, and so utilizing those metaphors in a really innovative way, I use imagination technology to help people shift from an old paradigm that is based off of information technology and this computer way of looking at the mind, to a much more efficient, much more powerful imagination technology that is a whole new paradigm of looking at reality, and it's a mind blower once you understand the mechanics of it.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's cutting out a little bit for me. So let me know if this is cutting out for you if you're watching right now. I'm weaving through, and I know your language, so I'm able to kind of fill in the gaps where it's been breaking up a little bit. So if there's a issue with connection, please let us know which side it's on so we can resolve that for this and future shows. And we're gonna roll with this as we have it. And the truth is that just being in the vibration of this content is going to make a shift. So yes, I love that you brought up this. Is it ancient wisdom thing? Is it ancient? Well, then we have to go into the construct of time. So I might even respond. It's a universal truth. It's a universal truth. Everything that is created starts in the mind. It actually literally starts in the mind. Now, the access to the mind, and I'm talking about not the mind in my brain, I'm talking about the universal consciousness, like the existence of thought in that realm, in that deep, deep spiritual realm. So that first ever spark of thought, of awareness as mind, it all exists there. So sometimes it's useful that identify and define these things, because it can very easily get lost in like, oh, well, what I'm thinking is, well, what I'm aware of that I am thinking is a little bit different. So I'm actually aware of my thinking, and that awareness is of the universal mind. I think is the easiest way to explain it at this point in time.
Yeah.
So yes, it is sacred knowledge, and it's the application of that sacred knowledge. So I could say sacred knowledge over ancient knowledge, maybe.
I like that.
Maybe a little bit of universal laws. And people like Jeremy, people like you, Jeremy, like bring this and remind us of the truth that lies within us. And in the little preview video I did before this, I talked quite a bit about how when I was growing up, everything was bringing me to a structure. I have to look at the evidence that somebody else built and look outside of me to figure anything out. And that's effective. That's very effective in navigating this three-dimensional world, in navigation of this 3D world. However, when I'm in a place where I'm going to synthesize, I'm going to create, I'm going to bring into existence in the reality, it's important for me to step away from what I've witnessed. Otherwise, I'm doing what Einstein said not to do, which is, in one of his common quotes is, you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. And that's why being able to leverage the power of the imagination is so incredibly important. Now, Jeremy, last week we talked about actually using the consciousness and be able to consciously imagine and consciously create. So I think this builds on that. So maybe just talk a few words about that, the evolution of consciousness, or however you'd like to, of what we talked about last week, and be able to conscious choice, we talked about a lot, and kind of just sum that up for anybody that might have missed last week. And if you missed last week, take a look, take a listen. Go ahead.
Right. So I think in the most simple terms, and hopefully I'm coming in well now, in the most simple terms, we're really talking about going from unconscious to conscious to awareness. I mean, that's the spectrum here that we're talking about in the broad spectrum of consciousness. So if you want to look at, sentient beings, like going from animals which don't have an ability to express themselves with language per se, to being human, where we have developed language, where we have these cognitive capabilities, where we have this intelligence to create and interact with our environment with our tools and all of that stuff. We look at the evolutionary progress from being unconscious to conscious. That is our kind of on ramp to be able to understand what the next level is, as we become self-aware of our consciousness. And and of course, even in the finite kind of dissection of unconsciousness, there is still mass unconsciousness on the planet, even if you're human. There are still plenty of people that are asleep to their greater power, to their greater potential, to their choice, to their free will. They're still asleep. They're still unconscious to themselves, to their self. And so there is still an evolution happening on that level. But where we're talking about in this group and the people that are watching here, we're kind of ready for this next level, and we are in this next level where consciousness is becoming aware of itself as consciousness itself, and that is a level up in evolution, because now we're having more reins on the mechanisms of our frequency itself, and being able to raise it on our own choice, and that those mechanisms, those buttons, those dials, those levers that are becoming lit to us in terms of how we want to feel, what emotions are not preferred. All of these things are starting to become light to us, and we're stepping outside of the darkness of this unconscious, sheep-like mentality of being led by the government, by the controls that be. And now we're starting to realize the power we have over our individual reality and the influence it has over the collective reality that we all share.
Absolutely. And I like this word conscious seems to scare people, some people, and awaken seems to scare some people. Really, it's a matter of what level of awareness do I have?
Mm-hmm.
Where is my awareness? Is my mind just, do I identify with my thoughts? Like every thought that comes in my mind, do I think that's me thinking it, or am I just listening it? And the moment I become the observer of those thoughts, then I can start to choose which of those thoughts I'd like to keep in my realm of consciousness,
Yes.
in my awareness. The more I keep those thoughts in my awareness, guess what happens? This magical thing starts to happen. My actions begin to change. My words begin to change. I get into a clearer alignment with what's my heart. Jeremy mentioned in the opening of this, like he's on his soul's purpose, and he can gain access to this as a result of disassociating with those thoughts as him, which I know I did for a long time. I thought I was my body, and then I was like, wait, maybe I'm not my body. I'm just driving this thing around. And then I thought I was my thoughts, and I was like, wait, maybe I'm not my thoughts. Just all this stuff that's going on in my mind, I'm just picking up. It got brought to me that this is just a receiving unit. It's like an antenna, receiving and broadcasting unit, the mind and the spine. And then when I started realizing that, then I could start choosing different frequencies to tap into in my awareness. And then the more I started holding those frequencies in intention, I started to create around that. That's this law of attraction that everybody's heard of. So then when I started doing that, I started saying, well, what's right and wrong? And at first it was manifesting all these things that I thought were right and wrong based on the solidification of my beliefs that the system, the structure, the schooling, the teachings, the authorities, everybody that gave me these types of thoughts, that this is the right and the wrong thing. Do this for the greater good. Always give to everybody else first. Forget about yourself. That's selfish. If you say that you're great at anything, then you're not being humble. And it's like, so it was just kind of all these belief systems that were to actually keep me in a duller light, and I wouldn't pursue what was true in my heart. I didn't even have access to it. So once I started to use the mind in this way and started directing it like a rudder with my attention, okay, I'm going to look at that. And I don't care if a squirrel walks by over here. I'm not going to go, squirrel. I'm going to just, this is what's important to me. I'm going to hold my attention on that intention. And it started coming in. And then I started to, oh, well, sometimes I'm creating shit that I don't want. Why am I doing that? Oh, because I forgot about my heart and tapping into my heart. And when I started doing that, every action that I took, every word that I speak now is from that place of love, of that place of greatness that's inside of me. And I believe it to be innate in every single being on this planet. And no matter where they're on the path. So Jeremy talks about, oh, well, we're at this next level. We're at the next level from where we were moments ago.
Mhm.
And I could forget and I could fall asleep and go backwards, right? I could go back down to the previous level. Geez, get excited over here. Or I can maintain my awareness, expand it, and go to the next level. So, not saying that we're the next level you, not saying we're the next level anybody else, next level me. Next level me from where I was. And in that awareness, there's always another level. And for me, I feel like I'm just scratching at the surface. Like I'm starting to develop like magical powers. Like I ask a question and it leads to like a chain of events. I asked somebody a question about their business recently, and it's led to this chain of events because I asked them that question. They're completely changing their business in a way that really serves their vision versus going with the flow. And the flow wasn't flowing. But all it took was one question to redirect the mind and to turn that rudder. And and that's the idea here, is to be able to like what I speak, to be so intentional that the questions that I ask, the statements that I make are like turning the attention from anyone. So rather than complaining about the rain, well, let's look at the attention of how green everything is here in the jungle now because of the rain, and look at the greatness in it. And all of a sudden, there's a new appreciation. So that's one little example.
I love
Any
that.
thoughts on that, Jeremy?
Yeah. Well, I'd also love to know what that question was. um, no, like I think there was one thing that you had said that I wanted to add on to around maybe the confusion or the kind of the skittishness around this consciousness concept, the word. Um, when you look at consciousness and you want to try to understand it uh, more clearly and to be able to apply some of that understanding, the way that really synthesizes it for me is consciousness is when you take the person out of the equation. This is what allows us to go from self-conscious to self-awareness, is when the person is taken out of the equation, the person that you think yourself to be, this state of feeling yourself to be this body, like you said, this body mind complex, like the mixed frequencies as we talked about before. Either of those things, the body, the mind, or the body mind, all of your time, all of your history, all of that is formulating this form of a person in your mind that you think that you are, that you identify with. And the moment that you can shift from a personal view of your life and reality to an impersonal view, you're getting more in touch with consciousness itself. It is an impersonal field. It is an impersonal awareness that allows your soul to become the guiding principle of your actions versus this personal personal guidance that is based off of a right and wrong, as you said, the good and bad, the duality of things, and it frees up your whole horizons. All your space becomes clear because you're no longer carrying this inefficient thing that you have to process with every single day and carrying it with you like this burden. And all of a sudden you have this expansive space because now you're the awareness of the happening. You're the awareness of the play and the game and the theater of life. And all of a sudden now, like you said, all of these powers come through because you've learned the lessons. You've learned that it's not actually yours on an identity level. And now things can flow the way that your highest purpose is designed for.
I really, really appreciate that. And that's a key distinction, because once I get into that state of awareness where I'm no longer identified with me as Ian, right? Me as my belief sets and all of that mumbo jumbo at this point in time, that's when I can begin to transcend the bullshit I've been telling myself. The things that have held me back or prevented me from seeing opportunities. So with this all in mind, and we're about 20 minutes into the show already, I mean, the title of the show is Solving Problems with Ease,
Yeah.
with the imagination. So when I
You
look at this word problem, do you have a definition for problem that you use?
Ooh, I'm gonna come up with one right now. Now that you ask, a problem.
Maybe I'll read the go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Read the official one, and I'll come up with what I.
Yeah, I'm going to give the dictionary one while you think about this a little bit for a moment. So it's a matter or situation regarded as unwelcomed or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. So some of the synonyms are difficulty, issue, trouble, worry, complication, difficult situation, mess, muddle, mix up, etc. And originally it was denoting a riddle or a question for academic discussion. That's where it comes from, late Middle English.
I was literally just about to say, a problem is a puzzle, a game, or a mystery in disguise of a golden lesson on the other side, or a golden lesson or a golden breakthrough that is a level up in your soul, in your awareness, in your consciousness, in your reality. Once you gamify it, it loosens up all the seriousness. And the one thing that I wanted to mention to connect, you're right on it, in getting in the segue to what we're talking about today. It is in how you help people. It is literally a frequency hop. It is literally there's a frequency of the problem, and then instead of focusing on that, you look into a different frequency, and all of a sudden now the solution presents itself.
I love that what you just did there and danced in the definition and brought so much nuance to it. And if this vibes with you, please drop it in. If you have another definition of problem, feel free to drop it in the comments. You might expand.
Please.
You will expand our awareness, and it may be some place in contrast, like I'm not going there, or maybe like I like that definition. Now, what I think when most people say problem, what I think I hear most of the time is somebody saying this is wrong, and they'll often even say afterwards like, well, I'm a Debbie Downer, or I'm just negative. And the truth is, when I investigate more with them, and anyone with the problem is actually that it's not something wrong. There's no charge to it necessarily. It's like an observation.
Mm-hmm.
It's an observation that something needs to be addressed. Something may be addressed. To me, a problem is just a solution or an opportunity that's begging me to reveal what it is and to implement that opportunity. So without a problem, then I am just stuck where I am in the status quo. I may be able to expand on it and use like Japanese way of expansion, like Kaizen is a word, like slow, gradual improvement. However, it's when the problem strikes that it's like, opportunity. And the bigger the problem, the bigger the freaking opportunity. And so the moment that I see the word problem, then I'm like, okay, something asking to be solved. Some opportunity exists here. And now problem is a very like masculine energy versus like the creation of it would be more of a feminine. But a problem, opportunity, like masculine energy is built to solve things, and the feminine energy just puts it out there. So if you're in your feminine, maybe masculine, maybe feminine, you might be a man or a woman, but you could be in your feminine. Then you might experience this a little bit differently if you're in your feminine. But in the masculine energy, the masculine energy is always attempting to solve things. We want to beginnings and ends, and feminine is everything in between. So if you're not vibing with this, drop in what you're experiencing, because I'm largely in my masculine energy. When I see an issue, bam, I want to go solve it. Then I'm in my feminine and I may create something new, and it may be a problem or an opportunity. Thoughts, Jeremy? I feel like you want to drop something in.
No, I'm just like trying to see this from all the different, angles of personal problems all the way up to like, organizational problems at a corporation. Like I recently, this weekend, I saw an interview with Elon Musk, and he is like visually just stressed the fuck out. He's always dealing with problems, but they're organizational. They're not his per se. They are, because he's the head of all these companies, and everything comes to him, and so he's anxious and just tired, and you can just see it. And I'm feeling that spectrum all the way down to an individual that just like feeling like a problem of punishing themselves, or a problem of they're enraged at someone else, and they're just like problems everywhere kind of thing. And I'm trying to draw it down and synthesize it into, if we want to, give space to the existence that, problems exist. If we want to say that, if we want to get on that common level, that problems exist, and that they're meant to happen, how much can you draw problems to fear, and are problems just stories?
So I think I have an example, and I think it's a really great point there. And I think I have an example that really, to just show that how easy this is of a switch. Because I've got problems. I got problems. It feels so funny for me. And Pam popped in here. She's in the Global Harmonization Meditation, and we talked about this a little bit. And she flat out just wrote, "Problems present opportunities for growth." Yeah, all kinds of opportunities. Opportunities for change. I mean, growth is another thing that I could judge and say, is growth good or bad, right? Like if it's a tumor, do we want it to grow more? Probably not. So there's no charge to these words. Like that's part of the transcendence to get to the imagination part. And I think we're going to get there really soon, is to, first of all, take away the charge on problem being right or wrong, whatever it is. And if that word has a charge for you, I invite you to switch out that word in your vocabulary as you speak into the world. We have an issue, the matter at hand. These are two that I like to use, right? So that's what's used in the boardroom. Let's stay focused on the topic, right? The topic is for your house. Your house is completely done. This is my problem, right? That I'm actually experiencing now. Your house will be completely done on this day, but the problem is that the sinks for the vanities in the bathrooms are in a shipping container coming from Belgium right now. This is my real life problem that I'm having right now. And I keep hearing from the manager of construction that this is the problem. Guess what? I got a solution for you, buddy. There's no problem at all. The issue is that we have these things still coming on the way here. So what could possibly be an opportunity? What could be the solution on this? Well, we could get sinks locally for temporary use. Well, then the problem is I have special sinks where the faucet is inside of the sink. So if they cut the holes, they have to redo the countertops because the faucet is in the sink, so there's not a separate hole for that.
Yeah.
And of course, the vanities that I have is this Phoenix material that you can literally cut into with a knife, and it's got nanotechnology, and it will heal itself.
What?
That's the top of the line. So, but you don't cut a whole hole to heal it. So the problem is that you have sinks that are a certain way with the faucet in it. Then I get the problem is, and then I'm like, well, what's the solution? Oh, Liberia. I saw the same style of sinks, not the same brand, not with the same features, but still approximately the same size, maybe a little bit smaller. We could use those, and they have the faucet coming out of the back. Still a problem. Okay, Keith, how about this? We're going to take a hose bib and we're going to put it on the end of the drain, and you're going to give me a hose, and you're going to give me a 5-gallon bucket, and you're going to move me into my house so that I'm ready to be in there on time. And I'll just do that for 2 weeks until you come in. The problem is, if we do that, then we have to work on the house with you in it. Okay, Keith, do me a favor. Never say problem is ever against me. Never, ever say that, because everything that comes out of this person's mouth, shouldn't have said his name, but maybe it's not really his name. Nobody here is going to know him. And everything that comes out starts with the sentence, but the problem is. And when that happens, what the imagination shuts off.
Yeah.
I can see it with him. If you remove the charge from the problem is, it could be the problem is, and then the solution is. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is it's the problem is. So this topic right now is such a hot topic for me because I'm hearing it everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's making me ultra sensitive to hearing it and making sure that I am no longer speaking. It's like giving me a deep lesson, like, whoa, what's going on? So there's the tangible experience. Any thoughts?
So yeah, let me ask you this, if you don't like. Let's look at like the law of attraction of this. What is the payoff for you to be the problem solver?
What is the payoff for me? What? It broke up there?
What is the payoff for you to be the problem solver?
Oh, I get to be savior.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to be more important. I mean, the real payoff in this situation is I get in my house. I get in the temple.
Yeah.
Right. So, great. Well, I think my lesson was to like beat it into me to never engage in being stuck in the problem is like,
right.
Otherwise it was still in my experience and I was still speaking about the problems in some way. And now it's like next level, Ian, like you got cleared on some of this stuff, but here's something, make sure that you address. Like you want to create with your words, you want to alchemize with your words. Here's one to be really, really spot on with to make sure that it's full circle. Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I see a few other dimensions of like, you know, if it is a pattern, right? Like you're noticing a pattern in reality where problems are popping up like moles, right? And you're having to bash them down. You're like you said, you're calling in that experience because you enjoy being the savior of problems, to have the experience of that. So if we go, if you know, I'm just throwing this out there, if you can entertain the possibility of going beyond the neutral. So yes, there is a very good point to destigmatizing the word and just making problem very neutral, right? But what's stopping you from going the other way, making problems positive, and like getting off on all the problems in your reality, and like getting excited by every single problem that arises?
Yeah, well, I think we're
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, you cut out for a second.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the internet today. So thank you for your patience if you're tuning in.
Yeah.
We'll keep working on this. I think it might be this big storm that we have going just over yonder.
Oh wow.
So for me, at this point, the word no longer has a charge. So I don't see it as a good or bad thing, or even opportunities. Because
Hmm.
what I've been watching unfold as
Mm.
a result of these items happening in the grander picture, when I pull up his lens and stop identifying as Ian that would like to get into his temple and his house and move in and get his furniture out from the boxes that are in a open house with the rainy season and all the little things that I could go on with
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Ian, and I pull the lens back, the amount of opportunities it is creating, the conversations that I'm now having, the
Hmm.
new awareness that I have. First of all, like that's it. Now, like now, when I see the
Right.
problem, I'm like, hell, right. Like, give
Yeah.
me that problem. Give me that freaking problem.
Yes.
And again, the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. It's
Yes.
not about me being savior, which is a role that I used to love to play. Just you can look at the women I used to date. Um,
Yeah.
now I'm in a place where it's like I've manifested like my ultimate reality. I can already see it. What I wrote down 2 years ago on paper, like big dream like picture. These problems are actually setting up the opportunity for that to come into play because now I'm having conversations
Yes.
with individuals. So all these mistakes, all these errors, all this bullshit is actually serving me. And I'm sitting in that place. I'm actually sitting in that place. So we can dive into this if you choose, or is this answering the topic of the conversation, the show title? And let us
I
know if you're watching, if you feel it is. I think it's kind of a little bit on the edge of it. Um, and for the Facebook user that asked if it was cultural or limited use in the English language is clunky. I don't speak enough English languages
yeah.
to say a bunch others, but that could be a piece of it. So go ahead, Jeremy. Would you like to come back to topic, or you want to stick on this one?
Yeah. No, I think it's all there. What we're talking about, it's two different frequencies, but I'll also say too, um, at least growing up and certain people in my life, like if you're if one is like kind of being barraged by the negativity of problems, it's not really. I would offer that it's not really about. Uh, this is gonna sound weird, but it's not really about solving the problems. Like that's great, and they're that will provide all of the solution. Like you'll do the work to get to the solution, but really it's being called to go step back the lens, like you said, and look at your whole world view, your world view, your world view in general, the general world view, how you see the world. Because I guarantee you, if you have a negative worldview and you are only seeing negative in politics and negative in the environment and negative in this, that you are just seeing a worldview, a negative worldview of problems. And that's naturally going to go to your life as well. And so if you're experiencing these very personal, like very precise personal problems that are getting you down and that are holding your power down and all of that, it's not really about focusing on that, but again, tuning to a wider frequency of what is your worldview, and then figuring out how to shift that into, oh wait, is this really true? Is this really true, or am I just being barraged by all this information that is confirming a negative belief, beliefs plural, and that to me, especially when I started to awaken to this stuff and like personal development and all of that, it was to overcome a deeply entrenched negative worldview that got passed down onto me from my family. Um, And once I addressed that, everything started to shift, and all of a sudden there was less problems. And the problems that did come up had really no personal stake, because I'm not the story of the worst case scenario or the best case scenario. And so that to me is a vital component, is the world view, the reality, the world view, the world that you're seeing. Is it a positive one or a negative one?
That's really, really important in the scope of everything. I mean, that's part of that awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I'm self-aware and I can listen to those thoughts, rather than judging them with my mind based on the belief system I have, it's like, how does it feel in my body? And that gives me access to look in my heart. Like, does this resonate with who I am and who I choose to be? Am I choosing to be anyone? That's another level. Or what really feels good or bad, if we're going to judge it, does it feel like love? Does it feel like expansion? Does it feel like contraction? And is that what I would like more of? Just like each individual cell moves to or from items, whether it feels good or it feels bad, or if it's feeding on it or not. And I'm of the belief to move towards the light, to move towards what feels really great. And my worldview is going to be based on the belief system that I am carrying within. So, is the world happening to me, for me, because of me, as me? Hmm. 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 And it's all aligned with my state of awareness. So what's the process? Like, how do you alchemize and solve problem with ease with your imagination? Do you have a process that you run through for yourself? I know I have a pretty distinct one, but I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, I mean, first, that awareness that Einstein quote, the problems can't be solved from the same level that the problem was created. So having that first, that's like your stepping stone to, okay, problem is right in my face. Let's just look at it objectively. I'm defining this as a problem. It's here, and I'm afraid of all the worst case scenarios that my imagination and my mind is coming up with, of like, it's going to lead to death. Like, that's ultimately, it's like, I'm afraid this is going to lead to my death. And so just get honest with yourself about that first. And now we can start to really shift the frequency into the solution frequency. Okay, so what state of being do I have to be in to be the solution to this problem? Curiosity and wonder. Okay, like that gets the engine going. And now it's okay, so maybe there's a little bit of journaling, like, okay, so what could be the steps here? Who could I ask for help? What are my options here? What, like, lay it all out, get it all out of your mind. And literally, the more that you do this, the more that you're going to attract the help that you need, the opportunities that you need, the ideas that you need. It's opening up the portal to the solution frequency. And then once you get that vision, it just has to be a glimmer. Just that vision, that's enough. Then you point your desire right at that, and follow the intuition of what are the action steps that come as a result of getting to that vision.
I like all the elements to that. Like the idea of, first of all, approaching that, like, who am I being and what state of being am I bringing to this? Like this idea of playfulness or curiosity or love. Like, I do so many practices to remind me to be in that state, so that my natural state is one where my heart is radiating out love. And it's exactly because of what you're speaking about. Like, get into that state. and reminding me to get into that state. That's another thing. That's another beautiful thing about a problem, is to remind me to get into the state. If I have a charge on a problem, it's because I'm choosing or not choosing, which is still a choice, to be in a state that is less than my natural harmonious state of love, of playfulness, of compassion, of curiosity. That childlike wonder, coupled with the wisdom that I've got to acquire over this time, with the idea that I know nothing. I know nothing. So anything new can come in. Anything new, everything can be forgotten. Like everything that I think I know is a no, is potentially a no. So I really like that. And I like how bringing it to the journaling aspect. And that's one of the key things that in my process. So when I write things down or listen to the words that I'm speaking, it's allowing me to reverse engineer back to my thinking. So when I'm not in this meditative, intentional state in my mind, directing myself towards it that I desire, as it that I desire, right? The beingness is I'm now it, this thing, which automatically is going to direct me. However, when I'm journaling or listening to what I'm speaking, then it reminds me to, okay, this is what my consciousness is holding right now. And when it happens often, that means I have a belief around it. It could just be a scene like, boom, like this is a possibility. And I can be like, oh, that doesn't feel good. So it's not really a belief. It's just like something I heard somewhere once or twice and overheard at a restaurant. Like, yeah, that could be a possibility. Maybe investigate it. Maybe not. But when it's like showing up over and over again, like this word problem has been for me, really looking at the alchemy of the words that I'm using is allowing me to see where my belief system is and where my state of being is. And journaling is one of the most profound ways of doing this, because I actually see what I wrote down. It's an act of manifestation. And that's what I'm creating in my life. So when I journal, I'm actually writing down what I'm about to create. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Because my deeds are going to align with all of that. And how many times have I said, why did I do that? Why did I say that? I remember getting home when I was a little kid and my dad would be like, why did you throw the baseball through the window or something like that? And I'm like, I don't know. Right? I didn't even think about it. I was completely not thinking. It was just an action I took. However, if I looked at the words I used before that, it would have aligned somewhere with that. And my state of being wasn't even a consideration. So I really like the way that you alchemized it by doing the journaling and my state of being. And then now there it's going to align with my actions that bring this forth. And the intention behind it, right? Like the intention, I'm going to look at what I wrote down and then I can modify it to say, actually, this is now my intention. I can look for key words that may be the disruptors that are creating the issues where things are happening to me. Thinking? What are you thinking?
No, that's so spot on. And I think I just wanted to offer the paradox, the other side, just so people can like balance out. Because when we give too much attention towards the problem energy being real, it's going to put us off balance, and it's going to feel like a force to try to solve it. But if we balance it out, and this might be a little more challenging if it's like a external problem, but I'm more kind of focusing on the problems people feel about themselves, where they feel like they're broken, and then that sense of feeling broken is a problem that they constantly need to solve. That doesn't exist. The broken, nothing is actually broken, and in that sense, problems don't actually exist. And so when you can balance out like the energy to solve a problem with the fact that problems don't actually exist because nothing is actually broken, you get a lot more clarity and a lot more stability to do the action steps to solve the 3D problem that you think is broken. But really, at core, nothing is broken about you. Nothing is broken about you. And I'm telling my past self this because that was a huge fuel for my own personal development, was like, I'm going to fix all the problems I think about myself. And that was never ending. It'll be never ending. And so having that, you know, helps me balance out the equation so that my action is a lot clearer to the solution frequency, which is more about awareness than it is about solving something that's broken.
I'm so happy that you brought that into this, because this is a key part of my alchemy that I even failed to mention throughout this whole piece. Is everything is in divine order.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that happens when something goes wrong is for me to remember it's all in divine order. It's all in divine order. And
Exactly.
just saying that to myself allows me to get into this surrendered state, allows me to accept it as it is. And then it may even, rather than disrupting me, I may start to remember like where things didn't go exactly as planned, and it actually worked out better as a result of them not going as planned, which is actually always like one of the biggest pieces in my life was being married, like the commitment that comes with it, the union that comes with that. And I was like, I thought I was all in on that, and it got disrupted. It wasn't my call to first get disrupted. I'm like, wow, this is falling apart. And I would have to say I wasn't happy where I was at. I was just I'm making lemons with the lemonade, or however. I'm beyond Mr. Brightside, and people are like, how are you unfazed by this? And it's not that it didn't faze me, but I believed in the divine order. And now I'm in this relationship with this woman that is, it's a totally different experience. Like, I am a greater part of myself every single day as a result. However, I changed substantially throughout that previous relationship. I changed so much of who I was being, so I was no longer in alignment with the person I was with. And now I'm in this place, this beautiful place, where at the time when it all went down, there was a big part of me that was devastated for a couple days, couple weeks.
Of course.
But I really went and dove into it and said, okay, this isn't happening to me. This is happening for me. This is happening for me to make a change. And then when I got, first it was, why is this happening to me? And then it was, why is this happening for me? Which felt a lot better. And then I'm like, okay, what role did I take into this? Taking responsibility. Why is this happening because of me? And then as I transcended that, I realized it was happening as me, because I could start to see my ex as an extension of what I was projecting, of who I was being. I could start to see the oneness. And then I could start to look in the eyes of anyone with this radiant love. So everything is here to serve me. It's all in divine order. And the moment I come back to that, it makes it so much easier to start to see that the opportunity does exist. And as soon as I believe that the opportunity on the other side of the problem exists, the problem is just saying, hey, there's an opportunity, there's a door of opportunity, come open it. Come open it. Come open it. Look over here. Give it attention. The most valuable currency in the world. It is not cash. Most valuable currency is not cash. It is attention. Everybody's dying for attention. The attention is the creative power. It's a creative power. So now all of a sudden the problem forces me. It says, okay, look at here. Look here at this problem. Okay, great. I see it. What's on the other side of it? Okay, everything's in divine order. So how could this be my win? How can I change this? What can I do to manipulate this? Who would I have to be? And this is available for anybody. And the moment that these questions get asked, I believe, for me and my experience, the moment I start saying, okay, who would I be if I solve this problem? Who will I be when I solve this problem? Who am I as I'm solving this problem? Who am I as I'm transcending even thinking that this was a problem? Who am I at the other side of this opportunity? Like, whoa, big things. What could I do right now? What one little action that I could take? It may be journaling, like Jeremy said. It may just be writing down the bullshit that I'm believing and investigating to see if that's aligned with who I really am.
Yeah.
And so that getting back to that divine order is just so important. Thank you for bringing that up.
And if all else fails, just Google it.
Or post it here. Post it here. Post it My Evolve Life. Like, we are here to serve you. Like, that's we're doing this on our Monday nights. There's other things we could be doing. I'm missing the sunset right now. There's a 1,200-year-old banyan tree right above me that I'd like to be watching it from. And instead, I'm here on this live feed because I know that when I transcended these things, it was life-changing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this has been helpful for everybody I've shared it with. So this is just one more avenue to do that.
Yeah.
And somebody dropped in here. I'm sorry, I can't see your name, but victim thought process versus opportunity thought process. Yeah, I mean that's one way if we're going to put labels on it, right? So victim, and then there's the savior. But was the savior any better than the victim? I mean, it's dropping into a role in this 3 dimension. Wow, I'm getting good at keeping this on.
Yeah.
So, any parting thoughts, Jeremy? You have a group program, don't you? Is that launching soon? What's going on with you?
Yeah. I'm launching a group program at the beginning of July. It's called Imagination is the Key. And it's a 3-month program. I'm looking at it more as an experience rather than a course. I mean, there's definitely going to be course elements, and if you want to do the work, of course, but really it's a transformational experience like no other. As we were talking about, it's not about here, let's solve let's solve X problem and really dive into the problem. I'm going to be offering a whole new frequency and allow people that the space, the vastness of this infinite potential to be in that space with me for 3 months over the course of this experience, while I offer content that takes you through my work, and magic's going to happen, and it's going to be amazing. So yeah, if that interests you, if you want to really learn how to master your imagination and come into this new paradigm of abundance and divine consciousness and all the words that you hear out there, drop me a line. I would love to have a conversation. Imagination is the key.
Beautiful. I love the title, by the way. And Pamela, you commented so much on this. I really appreciate you being here with us this whole entire show. It's really great to have you here. You're doing great things. It's really great to watch. And I actually met Pamela in Costa Rica on a moment where it was doing handstands on the beach. And nice. She wasn't as excited about doing the handstands as some others. And I was like, just do it. She got up there so good. So it's so great to see you on here. Thank you for being part of this. Jeremy, I love you, brother. Great stuff. Anybody watching, seriously, reach out to Jeremy. Check out what his program is about. He's here to just share his wisdom, and it's just really, I've watched you grow so much in the last year, and it's just been really exciting. And I've seen and I've spoken to people that, mostly Facebook Messenger and stuff like that, people that you have worked with and talked to, and nothing but raving reviews. I know conversations with you are always enlightening, great reminders, great perspective that gives me something tangible to hang on to. So thank you so much for being on with me today. And
thank you.
Really, really excited. Next week, got another great show. Thank you everybody for tuning in. 6 o'clock. I got dinner plans. Much love to all of you that watched. Have a great day, and we'll see you next Monday. I'll be on Thursday live with Dan Mangano. Look out for posts on that. And if you're interested in the global harmonization meditation, do it every single day. Jeremy, you need to start doing that with us.
Yeah, send me the deets.
I will. It's powerful stuff. 30 minutes, life-changing. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Much love.
See you later, guys. Bye.